Well, thank you for joining us on the program. This is a special program we've put together this evening, and my name is Tunde Alabi. On this very special program evening with our guest. My guest the program is Reno Omokri. Reno Omokri is #1 best-selling author. He is the founder of Build Up Nigeria, a former special advisor on new media to former President Goodluck Jonathan Ebele. Joining me on the program today on Meet Our Guests, Reno Omokri. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start this way. From being out of power and your position as a special advisor on new media, what have you been up to?
Well, when President Jonathan lost the election, to be honest, I just thought I was going to go back to California and continue with evangelism. Previously, I'd been vice president of a political consulting firm, Trippier and Associates, but I'd been away for 4 years, and I mean, my position had been filled. And I remember a friend of mine, Molara Woods, had told me, look, Reno, you don't know what's going to happen. After holding this job, you know, your life's not going to be the same. You're not going to look for a job or a business. Business and jobs are going to look for you. I didn't know she was dead accurate, but different sets of people, individuals, businesses, and institutions began coming to meet me for consultancy services. So I've had a full plate, and obviously, I wrote 2 books after I left office. The last one became a #1 international bestseller, and it's earned me a fortune, so to say. So it's been very good.
Tell us about this book. Let's start from there.
Okay.
This best-selling book that earned you some fortunes. Tell us, what's the background? What were some of the things that actually pushed you up to that ladder?
Well, essentially, former President Goodluck Jonathan is a shy person, and by nature, he's not very egotistical. And I watched as the current administration used propaganda and lies. You know, in a very, I mean, I'm so disappointed in President Muhammadu Buhari. He's shown patent dishonesty. His government has shown itself to be crude manipulators of the truth, very manipulative liars. And you know, like, I just couldn't sit down. The Bible says in the book of John 8:32, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And I said Nigerians had to know the truth, and so the truth could set them free. The title of the book is actually Facts versus Fiction: The True Story of the Jonathan Years, Chibok 2015, and the Conspiracies. In that book, I just wanted to set the record straight. I wanted to prove that President Muhammadu Buhari himself is a liar. I wanted to prove that he was surrounded by liars, people who had lied to the Nigerian public, who had manipulated the Nigerian public, who had sold them propaganda and lies. And I wanted Nigerian people to know, as 2019 approaches, that you cannot have this kind of, you know, a government that will lie to you is a government that will destroy you. Because you need to tell the people the truth, no matter how unsavory it is. And that was my main purpose of writing that book, to expose this administration currently ruling in Nigeria as a patently dishonest administration that does not have the moral authority to say any other administration before them was inadequate.
So the rhetorics and the content shot you up to being the best-selling book. What does that mean? Does it mean that what you put, the story you set out in the book, has been accepted by the international community, the public as a whole? All that, what does it mean?
Well, it means that the book, it sold more than any book in the whole world on the particular day. It became a bestseller. You know, it became a bestseller on the particular day, #1 in.
Yeah. What led to that? That's what I actually want to get. Was it that the content? Was it that people were actually looking for information on former President Goodluck Jonathan that was not available initially, and then somebody put this out, and okay, Let's get to see
I
the inside
think
from the
it was
inside.
because my book exposed a lot of the conspiracies, particularly behind Bring Back Our Girls. You know, it was an international cause celeb. And so I interviewed Matthew T. Page, who now lives, by the way, in the UK, in Oxford. But then at that time, he was, I think he had been a director in the National Intelligence Agency. He briefed President Obama directly, not between a go-between. He was at the meetings of the White House that the Obama administration, through the National Security Advisor then, Susan Rice, had with certain northern governors to plot the downfall of the Jonathan administration. So there were a lot of things that people were afraid to say. A couple of people knew the truth, you know, but they were afraid to say that. I believe the BBC is doing a documentary that is partly based on my book. It's going to be out in May 2018 in this country, and then September 2018 in the United States. It's been funded by HBO. So, you know, people were hungry for the truth. People were hungry for the truth, and nobody was saying. A lot of people that were around former President Goodluck Jonathan had abandoned him because he was no longer in power, which is not very unusual. And so when they saw that somebody had come out actually with the truth, you know, it was that hunger, that hunger for the truth that, you know, like made the book a bestseller. And it's not just by Nigerians. I'm not a British citizen. I'm a US resident. I live in the United States. However, I was invited by the Conservative Party as a delegate, not just as I was a delegate to the Conservative Party conference in Manchester about 2 weeks ago. I was there. I met with the Prime Minister Theresa May. I was with her for the entire session on the, I think, on the second day of the conference. There's a lot of interest because, like, my book exposed a lot of things that had previously been buried. You know.
While the conservative government show, well, not the same personalities prior to Theresa May coming in, of course, we do know the role played by the former Prime Minister David Cameron, where unknown to him was saying during the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan that Nigeria was fantastically corrupt.
No, that's inaccurate. That's inaccurate. He didn't say that about during the. He actually said that when President Muhammadu Buhari
it was a reference to the government before Jonathan.
No, that's not correct. I can quote what he said. That's not correct. He said that some of these countries are fantastically corrupt. And then the Archbishop of Canterbury, Welby, who was by his side, said, well, not this one, not this president. He said that, but incidents have since come to light. You've seen that the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babache Lawal, he was suspended. There was a probe into his affairs. That probe has been handed over to President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, this happened last year. This incident has been concluded. There's been a probe. Now, we are in the 10th month of the year. Nothing has been done to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Nothing has been done to him. We found out that $25 billion worth of contracts were awarded by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation without due process. Nothing has been done. No probe panel has been done. Instead, the presidency released a statement, a very vague statement, and the NNPC released a statement essentially lying on the person of the Vice President, Professor Oshibajo, saying that he actually approved these contracts. And of course, the Professor Oshibajo, a man I admire a lot, a man of integrity, came out and said, no, I did not approve this contract. I did approve some loans, but I didn't approve this contracts. As I speak to you right now, Nigerians don't know the truth of how 25 billion of their money was given out without due process. And it's not just that, there's multiple violations. There's a certain man called Abdul Rashid Maina. He's alleged to have looted $100 billion, 100 billion naira in 2013 from the pension fund. Former President Goodluck Jonathan ordered him to be arrested. He fled the country. And we know he's been an international fugitive all that time, only to find out that the Buhari administration had reinstated him, recalled him, reinstated him into the ministry, into the civil service of Nigeria, made him the director of human resources in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and hushed it up, kept it a secret until Premium Times, an investigative media, exposed it, and after they exposed it, the president said, oh, well, he must be fired. But this government was the government that brought him back. He was in Dubai. They brought him back quietly. So, I mean, you can begin to see that I've not said anything that is not true. I've given facts, and the facts show that this administration, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, is the most corrupt administration that has ever, not even governed, ruled Nigeria. Every time this man has been in office, huge sums of money have ended up getting missing. When he was Minister of Petroleum Affairs in 1978, allegedly $2.8 billion, 2.8 billion naira, which was at that time equivalent to $4 billion, got missing. Fela, the late Afrobeat musician, sang a song about it. The succeeding administration, the Shehu Shagari administration, did a probe. That probe was headed by the father of the current Senate President, I think his name was Olushola Saraki. You know, and then, you know, what happened with that probe? Now, I said allegedly because I don't want to say what I don't know. They did a probe, nothing came out of that. Now, fast forward, this is 30 or rather 29 years later, he's again Minister of Oil, because he, as president, he appointed himself Minister of Oil. $25 billion has been, just basically, done as they want without due process. Now, this, in the history of Nigeria, this is the largest scam ever. There's never been a scam of this magnitude. When President Jonathan was in office, the then CBN governor made some allegations. When he made those allegations, President Jonathan set up a probe within a month. There was a probe, and not only was there a probe, he also invited Nuhu Ribadu, and you know him, he's world famous for his reputation, to also do a concurrent probe. And not only that, he also invited an audit firm, I believe it was PricewaterhouseCoopers, to do an, what did they call it? I'm going to use the right word, a forensic audit of the NNPC. That is transparency. Now, $25 billion has been, so to say, given out without due process. What has this administration done? Nothing, nada.
The last 2 years, this government has successfully exposed a couple of financial misappropriation allegedly committed by the administration you served. And in fact, the government of former President Goodluck Jonathan is seen to have been the most corrupt government in the history of Nigeria. And of course, investigations are ongoing on several personalities, including the former Minister of Petroleum.
No, listen, I'm here to deal in facts, not to deal in opinion. And that's why my book, it's a bestseller. I deal in facts. The time Nigeria made the greatest improvements on, there is only one body in this world that is officially recognized to as a measure of who's corrupt and who's not corrupt. That's Transparency International. Transparency International is the only body. Every year they release a corruption perception index. The time Nigeria made the highest improvement in a corruption perception index of Transparency International was in 2014 under former President Jonathan. And they gave reasons. They said former President Jonathan ended the corruption in the fertilizer procurement regime and completely took out the government from it, and then made it a situation whereby there was no middleman, there was no government. The farmers got their fertilizer directly from the manufacturers. He brought in IPIS, where they used fingerprinting to pay salaries and cut out 50,000 ghost workers. His Minister of Aviation was accused of inflating contracts to buy a car. Within 2 weeks, she was fired. His Minister of Power, Professor Bharat Energy, was accused of conflict of interest. The same day he was accused of public conflict of interest, the president forced him to resign. So these are facts. Nigeria made her highest improvement in 2014. We jumped 8 places from 144 to 136 in 2014. Now, 2015, Jonathan left office, President Buhari to assume power. From 2015 to 2017, as I'm speaking to you right now, Nigeria has not made any progress. We are still in the same place that we were in 2014. So that is the fact. You have the propaganda of someone like Lai Mohammed saying that government has been the most. Listen, today, when it was exposed 2 days ago that this administration had brought back Abdul Rashid Minor, I'm quoting what the presidency said. He said, a person that has not been convicted is still seen to be innocent. That's what they said about Minor. The presidency said that in a statement today. Now, look at that now. Who has been convicted? Have they convicted Dasuki? Have they convicted who has been convicted? Rather than, Dasuki has said, take me to court, try me openly. I have all my documents, try me openly. They want a secret trial. Who between Dasuki and the government is now corrupt? When Dasuki says, take me to court openly, I have all my documents. The current president himself, he's saying that Dasuki, it was 2-point-something billion dollars stolen by Dasuki. They have not even the total amount that they've put together is not even up to 10% of that amount. Look, it is a fact that this administration lives on propaganda. And so that's why they try to. I mean, that's why they are very wary of someone like me, because I will not deal in opinions, or say I will come out with the facts and expose this administration.
Towards the end of that government, in fact, at the time the government ended, the government was the current administration was also after you for certain things.
Really?
Yes, a couple of informations were released as saying you were involved in some financial transaction. Of course, that could not be,
that's not true.
That could not be substantiated.
No. This administration has not accused me of any financial stuff. I've been in Nigeria twice since I left office. I was in Nigeria February 18, 2016. I went to Nigeria and specifically to Benin. I went there with Senator Ben Bruce. I went there with Pat Utomi. I went there with Archbishop John Priest Daniel to open an orphanage that I built. And then I went there again August 6th, 2016 for my mother's 80th birthday. I have not been accused officially or unofficially by this administration. When I was working under President Jonathan, I refused to have a budget because I knew that these kinds of things would happen. I did not have a budget in any way. Whatever I wanted, I passed it through, and maybe the chief of staff would ask for it to be done, but no money passed my hand. And this administration has not accused me of any financial misappropriation in any way. Your phone is there. You can actually Google right now and tell your audience, Google. Yes, they've made, they have their people maybe on social media try to attack me and say, well, maybe this and that, but they have not made any allegations or any whatever about me financially.
Moving on from there, as it stands in 2019, very close by because of our time, where do we stand? Well, PDP is practically discredited by this administration. The last 2 years, this government has practically put in huge amount of resources to discredit this government based on what has been done or what has not been done.
Well, but I mean, like, that's why I tell you, the
PDP government, the last administration, and the PDP party.
Yeah, you seem to dwell on opinion, and I dwell on facts. This administration, when they were campaigning, they campaigned that they were going to provide 3 million jobs every year. You can Google it. There was billboards everywhere. There's YouTube videos. They said they were going to provide 3 million jobs. Now, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, this is not Reno Omokri, this is not the PDP. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics under the Buhari administration said rather than provide 3 million jobs a year as they promised, they've actually lost 3 million jobs per year. In 5 years that Jonathan governed Nigeria, he spent 16.5 trillion naira. And in that time, Nigeria was the 3rd fastest growing economy in the world, according to CNN Money, the 4th fastest growing economy in the world, according to the British government. The British government said that. And so you said that our economy was stable. We became the largest economy in Africa. The naira was stable for 4 years at 150. In the 5th year, it went to 199 officially. Now, in 2 years, the Buhari administration has spent 14 trillion naira. What has happened? We've had a recession in those 2 years. The naira has collapsed. And then last year, the naira was the 2nd worst performing currency in the entire world. There's been a massive capital flight in Nigeria. And Nigeria used to be the #1 destination of foreign direct investments in Africa. And this is not me saying it. This is the United Nations UNCTAD said it. We were the #1 destination for foreign investment in Africa. Under this administration, we have now become the number 15. We went from #1 to number 15. So the fact are there. This administration promised, when they campaigned that they were going to restructure Nigeria. When they got into power, when they brought about restructuring, the president, not anybody, the president said, what is restructuring? He does not believe in restructuring. The administration denied restructuring. The chairman of the party, John Odigire Oyegu, denied restructuring. So this administration, they do not have any credibility. There's a saying that no matter how far and fast falsehood has traveled, it must eventually be overtaken by truth. So for the PDP to defeat this administration is not going to be a small thing. Nigerians, North, West, East, and South are tired of this administration. When in 2015, President Jonathan handed over to this administration, petrol was selling at 87 naira per liter. Right now, petrol sells at 145 naira per liter. Minimum wage has not been increased. Before Jonathan increased the price of fuel on 1st of January 2012, he first of all increased the minimum wage. Minimum wage has not been increased. You've increased the cost of petrol from 87 naira, almost double to 145 naira. You've increased the cost of electricity. You've increased the cost of getting a passport. And yet, at the same time, you have not increased minimum wage. The poverty level in Nigeria has expanded. Hunger level, you know, the International Food Policy Research Institute, they release the Global Hunger Index every year. The hunger level in Nigeria has increased. About, I can't remember, so I don't want to give a figure, but I know it has increased. So what is this administration going to run on? What promise have they done? In 2 years, the only capital project that this administration has begun and completed is the helipad for President Muhammadu Buhari in his village, Daura. That is the only project that they have started and completed. So how can they say that they have credibility and the PDP does not have credibility?
2019. Where does PDP stand?
Well, I can't speak for the PDP. You know, I'm not an official of the PDP.
Okay, let's look at on the general note. 2019, as election approaches, as we get to 2019, I know there will be realignment of political forces in Nigeria. What do you see of APC and of PDP, even as PDP plans its convention coming up soon?
Well, here's the thing. The PDP has completely reconciled. Old wounds have been healed. The founding fathers of the PDP are coming back to the PDP. We've seen that the PDP now speaks with one voice. The man that the APC planted there has been kicked out by the Supreme Court. So there's unity of purpose in the PDP. But look at what's happening in the APC. Last week, they held their meeting. I think, was it the National Working Committee meeting? And then the entire 6 governors of the party in the Southwest, they did not turn up. None of them came. None of them came. Not one of the governors of the Southwest came. Now, that's to show you the open division that exists in the party. I think it was last month, a member of the kitchen cabinet of President Muhammadu Buhari by name Professor Isia Sagi said, and I quote, that the current APC is a party that promotes evil, that they are come, and quoting him now, come and chop politicians, that this party, they do not have the capacity to fight corruption. Now, this is not the PDP talking. This is within the APC talking. The president's wife herself said that the people that are surrounding the president, look, she doesn't know them, that these are people that she doesn't believe in. And if these people continue with the president, even she will not vote for her own husband. She said it. I'm sure you saw it when she said it. And it's not just that. A very, very influential member of the party, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, wrote a memo last year and said that, and this is, he just said, Mr. President, we have failed. So the PDP doesn't even need to even talk. The PDP just has to bring in what the APC people have been saying about the party. They do not believe in the party anymore. The party has failed. The party has taken that. In fact, what's common in Nigeria, the Nigerians are saying that we don't even want the APC to even bring progress anymore. Just return Nigeria to the state it was when you took over power from the PDP. That's how bad it is.
We're still on the program. We've got a few minutes to go, and this is the program. Our guest in the studio is Reno Omokri Speaks, and he has been talking on the program about the current administration and the last administration. But quickly, before we open the phone line, if we can open the phone line, let's see if we can open the phone line for your participation and contributions on the program on Reno Omokri Speaks. Let me ask you quickly. The presidential slaughter has been probably put to the north. We don't know who the APC candidate may be. Well, it's been said it's probably going to be President Muhammadu Buhari for the PDP. Or people have been saying, okay, we're looking at Atiku, probably, or yes, no. But I want to do an open analysis. As Nigeria stands, should APC field President Muhammadu Buhari, who do you think in Nigeria today can stand up? We like it or not, President Muhammadu Buhari is still loved by a couple of people. He's still seen an epitome of integrity and a man that has little regard for corruption, regardless of what people still perceive. Who in Nigeria today do you think will be able to wrestle power from this man?
I'll put it this way. If the PDP feels any northern candidate that is credible, and there are a lot of people that are credible, even people that are currently in the APC, people that are in the PDP, people that were former and present office holders, if they feel any credible person, I believe that they'll defeat President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, one thing you have to understand, I was a vice president of a political consulting firm. I look at politics as mathematics. It's a science for me. President Muhammadu Buhari has been running for office for 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015. He has never been able to garner votes in the South. He garners votes in the Northwest particularly, and you see that he's always been able to garner 12 million votes, beginning from 2003, 2007, 2011, and 2015. It's just been the same. The reason why he won in 2015 is because a man called Asiwaju Bola Tinubu was able to convince the Southwest to vote for him. So the voting average in the North did not change. It was still that same, what he had in 2015, that he had, in 2011 that he had in 2015. He had just that segment of 12 million votes. What gave him the edge was because of the Southwest. Now, does he have Bola Tinubu in his camp? No. Bola Tinubu, I mean, like I told you, in their last National Working Committee meeting we just held, I believe it was on last week, Monday, none of the Southwest governors came. Not one of them. They did not even send apologies. Not one of them came. Now, so that's to tell you that APC is now basically a northern party. It's just a party that has a strong, and not just even a northern party, a pan-northern party. You see, what's happened there is like with the way the president has treated certain segments of the north. Look at what he's done in Kaduna State. Look at what he did to the Shiites. 347 Shiite men, women, infants, and children were slaughtered, killed, buried in mass graves. Nothing, not